So GLHF, it's going to be second game on the home map of Upsala's B, and it's going to be Molde with civilizations from Upsala's B, Thomas Shelby Loki, Hero OP Loki, and the last time Miracleman is going to be Oranos, not a guy at this time. But for the Teeth of Death, we are seeing the same civilizations, Loki, Isis, and Thor. So we should be expecting a very interesting and aggressive game, because Molde is kind of normal map. It's basically something like Marsh on ice, or basically something like that, really. It's aggressive map with a lot of hunt and a lot of food and such, and also some small shrines, as you can see, with a relic, which is for battle LOS and range, for archers, ballistas, and ballistas. So that's not really great for the Norse, but for the Atlantean on the left side, for Miracleman, that could definitely be quite useful, especially for the ballistas in there. As the ballistas in the Mythical Age for the Norse, well, that could come in handy, but I don't really expect that all that much. A lot of berries thrown around in here, as you can see. As on the right side, there's pretty decent hunt right now for Thomas Shelby, who is going to be playing flank against J4, so that's going to be interesting encounter because between the Loki in here and the Thor on the right side. So let's see if J4 is going to be having a bit more effective Ragnarok this time around. Maybe he even gets to it, as in the last game. Basically, just as he advanced, the resigns from his opponents are, or rather, were coming in earnest. Interesting placement of the gold, as it's not going to be easy to defend all that much because of the bit of a ice lake in here, so not really easy to wall or anything at all. But you wouldn't be expecting that all that much when you can see that the first spy from Thomas Shelby on J4 is going to be cast exactly on the correct biddies, and that's going to be the Huntress. So he definitely has to finish with this food pretty soon, as he's also going to be raided on there pretty soon, but otherwise he's going to be switching, I think, into the berries at the back. And looking at the gold right next to the TC, this seems a pretty decent position, but looking how close that actually is to his opponent Thomas Shelby, it might not be all that easy for him to defend, and those two TCs are in pretty interesting positions for both of them. This because of the gold for J4, and the one in the middle because of basically overall strategical position in the middle of the map. On the left side, on the interesting position of the TC for Miracleman, it's kind of slightly guarded from the right side from his opponents, so that's interesting in that point of view. And there's a relic for better cavalry speed, and that's a very important one in here for either of the teams. A lot of hunt in the middle with some berries, and another TC which is right now front for Shelty, I would be thinking, a bit more into the map, into the middle of the map. So it's looking like that this TC at the top and the one at the bottom are going to be pretty important, and both teams should be making all they can. They're making all the effort to somehow take it under their control. Another relic at the back for cheaper myth units. That's not half bad. For Loki especially. That could be helping basically anyone in this game. And otherwise in the pocket we are seeing Fox, which is definitely a nice pawn for the Teeth of Death, as having the Egyptian in the pocket is the best placement to be had. Especially looking at the front TC, which is basically the most defensible of all the three for the Teeth of Death, and if he's able to capture the TC, he's going to be also capturing the gold. So I'm expecting, as he advances into a heroic age, he's going to be coming for the TC, and also right now building Migdol about here once he finishes with that, so that's going to be an important spot for him. And let's see if Absolats are going to be hoping somehow to disrupt that. Already scouting with the Oracle in here as well. And where's the last one? That's just a villager coming into the middle to take as much hunt as he can before he is going to be raided by his opponents. Where is the third Oracle? We are at 330, so he is probably dead already. You can see that he's advancing onto 430 advance, which is pretty decent. But really, I'm just missing the last Oracle, so he had to be killed somewhere. Here. Yeah, here we see the dead bodies, and that's a bit of a problem for him, because he definitely cannot right now to go for some early raiding with Valor, but probably wouldn't be the case anyway, as in the last game he didn't do anything like that, but not like he could, as of course he went for Oceanus, so he didn't have the Valor. He's going to be meeting Shelty, his opponent, in here at this spot. But look at how Miracleman should be slightly faster into the next age, 35%, so that means I'd like 10 seconds slower. But look at how he's also Loki. He's going to be Granite Ringer already up, so he should be getting rid of the hunt pretty soon himself. I'm not exactly sure that this manor is going to be helping you all that much. Otherwise, we should be seeing advances, or should we? J4 is actually quite slow. You can see that he's already walling himself in, expecting some quite bad moments for him, as he's going to be quite late into the next age, as Hero OP is already advanced right about now, and Thomas Shelby is going to be advancing in like 25 seconds. Second the dock, or rather second temple being finished just by himself, just about now, but really this is going to be quite slow for J4, and I'm not really liking it all that much for the Teeth of Death, because this is going to be like 550 advance, and unless he is like fast Ragnarokin or something, it's not going to be ideal at all. Let's see. I don't expect really that he should be. Cheaper myth units already coming for Shelty, as he's already getting raided on the hunt in here, but it's going to be countered quite nicely right now by the Hersters, just one, with other ones coming into the battle as well. And yep, this manor is most definitely not going to be enough to deal with the problems at hand. All the army, of course, coming up from one military barracks, actually two military barracks. Well, that's interesting, because we don't see any counter barracks, which means that absolutely no Turmas, and it's going to be all up to Murmilos in here and Hero Murmilos to deal with the problem at hand. So let's see if that's going to be something that will work out, but I'm not really all that convinced, because the mythical spawns from Shelty should be pretty strong, and really, especially if he gets a lot of trolls, that's going to be a pretty big problem for Miracle Man. I'm not exactly certain that the counter barracks getting just now is going to be fast enough, as this should allow the Loki to raid a bit more before actually Miracle Man is ready for him. So this is also right now resulting in Hero OP going from the pocket to the left side, and it's looking like the Thomas Shelby is going to be in there as well, and that's a bit of a luck, because J4, even though he's advancing quite slow, is going to be basically having a lot of time to somehow get himself on his feet, and that's definitely something that the Teeth of Death will be happy about. And I'm not sure that Absolute C actually, or rather, expected the situation to be exactly like this, but it's not going to be working for them all that much. So far they are tripling quite nicely, but looking at the amount of Hersirs and the mythical spawns and the closeness of the TC, I don't expect that this should be any kind of really decisive attack or anything. And looking how Fox is helping quite nicely. Is he going to be fast heroic in? Where is Armor in here, so that's definitely going to be pretty much standard from him. He's going to be helping his teammate, and it's looking like that Shelty is going to be quite capable of defending himself even against multiple opponents. And doesn't look like that Miracle Man or Hero OP are going to be strong enough to do anything. Thomas Shelby in the meantime is going for a bit of raiding with Hersters all around, and is maybe going to be switching into a bit of raiding on J4, or at least into defense, because J4 is right now having the ground under his feet quite nicely, just about now going for a bit of offensive and trying to put Thomas Shelby into a bit of problems, and mainly just force him to actually abandon the position right next to Shelty's base and basically go for a full-on 1v1 between him and the purple player, of course. So 3 into Hersirs. Interesting as a Thor. Well, not really interesting all that much, as of course he's going to be expecting from the Loki a lot of mythical units, and for the defense against that, or maybe even offense against that, just needs Hersirs to deal with the problem at hand. Right now Shelty is somehow chasing Hero OP into the middle of the map, which could be a bit of a problem, because you can see that Miracle Man is seeing that quite nicely and going for a bit of raiding himself and hoping that he can find something at the back. So far he's not going to be having any kind of luck. The tower is in pretty good position, as the Heroic Age is coming in 75% and barracks coming up, so that's looking like that there's going to be a bit of a mix for Fox of Axemen, I would be expecting, together with at least a few units from the Migdol that is going to be built about here, or maybe into some kind of full of defense of Shelty. I'm not exactly sure, but right now he needs to be careful quite a lot, as it's looking like that he was going in here. He definitely was going to build Migdol in here, maybe even the TC, not exactly sure, but so far that's not happening, and all the help from Shelty is going to be exactly needed in this battlefield. So let's see. Yeah, Axemen coming from the barracks as was expected. And is it going to be the TC? It seems that it is. Seems to be aiming exactly for that, but looking at the very nicely positioned spy right about now by Hero OP, I'm thinking he's going to be seeing exactly what is happening around the map. So we have seen that it's going to be a TC, and he's getting very important rally for human soldier pierced armor, and that's a very important one really, especially against the defense, or rather for the defense against the chariot archers and all the building fire that could be coming in the minutes to come. course, a bit of a problem for the mythical units by Fox, or rather of Fox. Shelty is having to do quite a lot of defense, but since it's looking quite nicely in here, and on the right side, J4 is not really raided all that much. He is the one executing the raid against his opponent. Oh, he's going to be fighting with the goats. The guys at the bottom, and well, that's going to be a bit of a problem because they are quite far away. And if J4 is going to be able to notice that, he is going to be coming with at least one flank to the bottom. And let's see. Oh, that's going to be a bit of a problem. Or not. Yeah, as you can see that right now, Thomas Shelby is at least forcing J4 to go off this position, but at least it's working quite nicely for J4, I have to say, because even though he doesn't have the same number of the units, he's basically forcing Thomas Shelby to run around, not doing absolutely everything, and that's ideal for him. That's effective, cost-effective overall, and if he can really keep him running all around the map, that's definitely going to be working for him quite nicely, as he's attempting to jump into the next age in just a few moments. In the middle, it's still looking like that actually Shelty is still continuing to pursue Hero OP, but he's going to be in a bit of a problem pretty soon as Miracle Man is trying to close in as well, and they are going to be in a pretty good position to deal substantial damage to his main army and deal with the army overall. Right now Shelty is just trying to run away, as on the left he's of course going to be raided at least a bit by Miracle Man, but with the upgrade into towers that's not going to be all that much of a threat by that, and with the Bragi coming in, it should be pretty decent and easy for Shelty to defend against anything like that. Fortunately for him, he's going to be running out of berry bushes and he doesn't have any goats. So he's going to be forced into the bushes at the back, and that's not really all that safe for him. So he's going to be forced into having a bit more defense than he is having so far. Shelty still pursued by basically both armies of Miracle Man and Hero OP, as Miracle Man is right now advancing into Heroic Age, same as Shelty, trying to kill at least a few villages, but that's not going to be working all that much, at least for the time being, as Bragi is already coming in for Thomas Shelby as well. It's almost looking like that actually Shelty with J4 are going to be joining in. Oh, even Fox, well, that's a bit of a surprise, and it seems to be working quite nicely so far, so let's see if they are going to be effectively killing Thomas Shelby. They are probably not going to be managing that before he advances into the next age, but still, if they can kill enough army for him, well, he could be expecting a lot of problems for him coming about now, especially with the ancestors coming into the fray. Really a bit of shame for Decisive that they are not going to be killing the DC before Bragi comes in. And looking at somewhere else, it's looking like that Miracle Man is right now pushing also into the Blues base, but it doesn't look like that he's having enough army in there, as Shelty is still having at least a few flank units, another flank of units, or squad of units, that is defending the villages at the back, as he's right now looking at the minimap, moving exactly for the berries, as we were talking about that a bit earlier. This battle seems to be going quite nicely for Ladies of Death, which was expected. Yeah, and it's looking like that Gain actually lost all the army, and even though there is a bit of help at the top side from Miracle Man, it doesn't seem to be really strong enough or really fast enough, and much more importantly, he is still using at least half the units to attack Shelty in his own base. So this battle is quite nicely going, exactly where it's going, so let's switch to the top side to have a look how it actually is in the battlefield truly. Not really all that convincingly, as it was just a few birds together with few army right now, or rather little army, but it's looking that it's going to be pretty much enough if Shelty doesn't commit a bit more to the defense, which he seems to be honest, right now, with no extra upgrades, whereas his opponent is having at least medium more mills, but yeah, that's pretty much it, and shouldn't be enough for the time being. But of course, the Stinfalian birds are going to be a problem pretty soon. It's also looking like that Hero OP has been able to amass quite a decent amount of golden boars, so let's see if that's going to be something that will work out, and I think that it really fairly should, as the J4 should be quite careful about that, as they are quite dangerous, and 5 boars can definitely get rid of any TCs that are going to be in their way. Not really going for another villages, so is he trying to jump into next age? I don't see the market yet. Right now I see. So yeah, that's going to be a DC Raiden. But let's see if he's going to be advancing into Baldra. Yeah, of course. Oh! and he's very far away, so that's going to be a TC down. Yeah, Balder is going to be delayed quite substantially, and this is really a pretty big threat by the boss, and definitely a good idea by Hero OP, because all he needs to do is just kill the TCs, run around, as the Heresies are not really fast enough, and this is a pretty big problem right now for Deities of Death, as J4 is dropped to 0 TCs and will be forced to go, rather spend a lot of time building the TC back so that he can actually advance into the Mythic Age for his Ragnarok. On the left there seems to be another pretty strong attack right now held by Hero OP as well, as Yellow is having right now most of his army in here, but still it doesn't seem to be enough, as the boars are basically in the same numbers as from Hero OP right now from Shelty in this battlefield. So far he is not going for a second TC even, so he's still content at 1, as the only one at multiple TCs from the Deities of Death is Fox, as he has captured also the one in the middle, and so far not really going into a Mythical Age. But is he having some kind of upgrades? No, he isn't, but he is going for pretty much the same lineup of elephants together with chariots and going into the offense against Thomas Shelby. Let's check if maybe Thomas Shelby is advancing. He isn't. Neither is the Pocket player. And what about the Oranos? So far not, as he's right now retreating back, as he's going to be under attack pretty soon by Shelby, or rather Shelty. So he's having a pretty decent army, and right now interested in dealing some kind of damage to his opponent. At the same time, the Radiant Boars are, or rather have been repelled, but unfortunately for Deities of Death, Hero OP is still having a pretty decent amount of units. Radiant on the left, and this is pretty much going to be safe, it looks like, and it's going to be captured basically mainly because of the trade route, as Fox needs something secure for himself so that he is as effective Egyptian as can be. You have a problem of course with the gold, as we are seeing the Raiden in here, and Shelty is just continuing doing exactly what he needs to do, and that's luring the armies to run around and not doing anything substantial all that much. Right now Shelby is thinking that he can actually push forward, as he's going to be denying the big doll and getting rid of the TC. Maybe. Oh come on, bit of micro Fox. This guy is almost dead. But these two are also almost dead, so I'm kind of thinking that it should be pretty much fine, but not for much longer, because Thomas Shelby with the flaming weapons is arriving on the battle scene as well, and that should be resulting, if he sends all the boars at the TC, he should be killing it quite easily, especially in comparison with Hero OP, but so far that is not happening, and there's also a bit of raiding into J4's base, who is having a bit of problems with the attack on his base himself, but right now he's going to be switching finally into the next age, and should be pretty much fine. With the Ragnarok coming into the game pretty soon. Yep, so goodbye TC. Goodbye TC right now, Ragnarok coming in from J4, and how much upgrades does he have? He's having just the baseline, and where did we see? Ah, here. Going for Copper Mail at least on top of that, so that's pretty decent. But yeah, pretty big army right now in Shelty's base, but fortunately for him, he is having pretty decent army himself in there, with the flaming weapons himself forcing all the army away, as there is not a battle that right now Miracle Man should be taken, even with the birdies in here. Heavy Murmilos, Copper Mail, and otherwise what's the upgrade for here? For Shelty, nothing. Well, he definitely could be working on that a bit better, and unfortunately at the back, the market is not going to be standing for Fox for much longer, and yeah, the TC at the back is also not going to be captured by Shelty. Right now we see the Ragnarok, and Thomas Shelby is resigning quite fast, so yeah, he's recognizing that this is not going to be a battle for him to be won, and for basically the sole reason, as the flaming weapons for J4 make it all that stronger. And since Thomas Shelby already used up his flaming weapons and basically lost all the army already in the attack in here, and since Fox is going to be genuine on the right side and Shelty seems to be doing pretty well against both Hero OP and his Miracle Man, it's looking like this is basically a done deal. There's not much that Hero OP, even with the Mythical Age and the Truth there, and also the flaming weapons himself, will be doing against this assault. And it's going to be just seeing the last battles play out, and well, it is already 2-0 for Deities of Death in this very important match against Absolat V. So GG, nicely played, and in 18 minutes Deities of Death are still keeping their chances on playoffs alive. Nicely played, even though it really looked kinda interesting for Absolat V at the very start. They were doing pretty good job with raiding and tripling and doubling all around the map. And the DC Radiant wasn't half bad idea on J4, as it did delay his Ragnarok, but unfortunately not enough, so that Upsala's B could be somehow killing him before it was relevant again. Yeah, that could still be some kind of chance, I think, for GDMB to actually advance. If Lapsolat's B lose to them, yeah, that could be something. And since actually GDMB really played well and were able to deal with Deities of Death, they might still be able to deal with Upsala's B, and that could be also a way how to eliminate the Deities of Death from the playoffs. Well, let's see. It's going to be all in Upsala's B's hands. J4 yet again, but that's yet again because of the Ragnarok at the end. Not really much more to that. But it wasn't really all that fast or rather strong Ragnarok, because you can see civilian units high for J4, 38. So that was literally Ragnarok at 38 villies. That's kinda not what you would expect all that much, but since the game was kinda all over the place, a lot of raiding, a lot of villages dead, economies raided and such, even that was strong enough, especially in combination with full pop army and the flamey weapons. Well then, GG.